All right, and I'm going to share my screen in a moment. I just want to see if I can get this pulled up. All right, cool. All right, I am sharing my screen. You should be seeing my entire screen right now, if that's correct. All right. And if you're seeing my entire screen, you should see something that looks a little bit different than a normal calculator. On the right-hand side, it looks like a normal calculator. I guarantee you it is not. It does not function the same way as a regular calculator. You cannot do 9 plus 9. It won't give you 18. I'll give you a different number. It shouldn't. For a financial calculator, you have to do 9, enter 9, or 9, enter plus 9 to come up with 18. It's a little different backwards. Once you understand how it works, it becomes your friend. We will generally never use the right side of your financial calculator. Reason being, you have an easier calculator. It's on your phone. It works very easy. You know how to use it. I'm not going to re-engineer your minds on using this type of calculator on the right-hand side. You know how to do 9 divided by 3. So why use it on here? What you don't know is this whole side of it. All right. Over in here, this will become your friend, particularly at the top line. So you make sure online folks can see it. It should be only the top numbers up here for the most part is what we will go over tonight. There are other numbers on here which we will go over shortly. So this is where we will always land. Down here, the F and the G will clear your calculator. Word of advice, when you do a formula and you start jumping right into the next one, you must always do F, CLX, which is clear. If you do not do that, your financial calculator will store all the data. It acts like a true computer. It will be there forever. You don't want that to happen. And you will get formulas completely wrong if you don't clear it out. So always, always clear it out. Now, you can do G, CLX, which will erase the entire calculator. All right, well, all your formulas. Or you're in here and you're like, oh, shoot, I screwed up on the interest rate. You can hit F one time, it'll back it up. And you'll see when we start doing examples what it does for you. All right, so these two are your friends. CLX clears things. CHS, change sign. Or change symbol, whatever works for you to remember. This takes a number that's positive and makes it a negative. Such as if I'm making a payment, and I brought cash to actually do this, for example. So I have a 20 on it. I'm paying my note at a bank. Take this $20 and I give it to the bank teller. It's gone. Is that a positive number? It left my wallet. A payment is a negative number. It left my bank account, goes to someone else. So always think of that. Unfortunately, you'll probably have this stuck in your mind now, like me doing this. Take this $20, you give it to the teller, it left you, that is a negative number. If you do it as positive, you will see tonight. Here's a weird thing, it'll spit out a negative number. It's not a wrong answer. It could be a trick question on the test though. And I'll show you just bypassing, the easy way to bypass it. That's what change symbol does. FB, which we're going over the PowerPoint shortly. It's future value. What is something worth in the future? That we always want to know, particularly in here. I want to know, I want to take $50,000, put it in a CD, a 6%. What is it worth in 30 years? I'm solving for future value. Payment, PMT. This is a payment on a loan. So an example, I have a $500,000 mortgage. I'm making $2,000 a month payments on it. That's 6%. How many years will it take me to get that paid off? If I have a $500,000 mortgage, I'm making 2,000 payments, add another 5,000 every month. What does that do for me? That's where you go for that. PV, present value. I have $50,000 today, present value. I want it to grow to $100,000. This will make a lot more sense. That's a future value. I. Interest. Always interest. And N is periods. This could be days, weeks, months, years, quarters, anything of that nature. So N is periods, I is interest, PV present value, PMT payment, FV future value. Questions about any of this so far? All right. Believe it or not, I guarantee you in about an hour from now, you'll be whizzing through this. It's not as complicated as it sounds, or as it may look. The only time it gets really complicated is when you want to start taking numbers and figuring out monthly, biannually, quarterly, because that takes a different type of math. For your folks online, I'm hoping you can see it, same in here, you can see some blue numbers, very small. You have N. N is always assumed in years. So I have a 30-year mortgage, just type 30. I want to find what's 30 times 12. There's a blue number here. You would just hit the blue key and we'll do it as practice. Converts easily for you. Interest rate. I say, hey, I'm paying $100 a month. My annual interest rate is 6%. What am I paying monthly? Take that divided by 12. Simple math, 0.5%. Was there a question online? No, okay. CFO, CFJ, NJ, we're not using in this course. All right, so underneath PV, PMT, and future value, we're not using those. Well, top 5 numbers or letters always. 12x and 12 divided, we will use today. All right. Underneath here, you will see something that says bond. Guess what? We want to know different bond pricing, which next week we are doing bonds in here. We're skipping to chapter 6. We will go over bonds. Something called yield to maturity. We'll also understand the price of a bond and how it's priced. This calculator will figure that out for you. You don't have to remember formulas. The calculator, once you know how to use it, it works for you very, very well. Depreciation, we're not going over in here. It's not an accounting class. I'm not going to teach you how to depreciate long-term, short-term. We'll talk about it, but we're not depreciating items for here. This line down here, we will not use anything except a clear sign. So as you can see, the big, mean, scary, ugly calculator, all of a sudden it becomes pretty easy. Not using the right side, because you can use your own calculator. We can if you want, but really you're just going to hang up here all the time. So we're going to go. Where it gets hard is knowing where to enter stuff. Yes, sir.
How do we use this without using the right side? Like, don't you need numbers for these problems?
You do. So they come from a discussion, they come from an equation. The right side, you will not have to type in 50 or anything plus.
Okay,
All right, not for plus. So if you're trying to do math or anything, you're not going to use the right side.
okay, but we are using.
You are using the numbers to enter in over here.
Oh, okay.
So good question, okay. Yeah, so you are using the right side just to type in a number, but you're not using 50 plus, 50 times, 50 minus, 50 divided, nothing divided.
That clears.
Just a simple type in a number. Yeah. Good question, sorry.
No, you're fine. I was confused.
No, I'm like, wait, what I said? Any questions so far? No. Up here, this is what we'll spit out. RPN. I had the acronym stuck in my head earlier, but it means this is a financial calculator. I forget what actually the full acronym if somebody wants to look it up, but it's a scientific equation for the financial calculator. That's what RPN stands for. The right hand side underneath 7 and 8, we'll use eventually. That's beginning, beginning of month, beginning of period, beginning of quarter, beginning of anything. End of month. End of the week. These will mean more as we start really diving in. Questions? Looks scary? Do we feel good about it? Honestly, not yet, right? No, you shouldn't. This is your first time ever seeing it. But believe it or not, when you leave here tonight, I hope you go home tonight and start playing with numbers. You're like, oh yeah, I remember this. This is pretty straightforward. It's not that bad. It's literally not. I'm going to introduce you to how we're going to start using this. Let me pull up the PowerPoint. Online folks, any questions so far? No? Okay, cool. All right, let me see if I can get it pulled up here. In my world. Had everything hidden. Okay. Let me go back in the course. I must close out of it.
Is that correct? It's a reverse Polish notion. That
Yes,
makes sense.
yes. Yep, really fancy term for financial calculator. That's all it is. All right, so we are on chapter 3, which is focusing solely tonight on future values, present values, known as your calculator. A future value, you have to understand what a future value is if we're trying to figure anything out in general. You saw the calculator, FV. FV means future value. But what does a future value actually mean? I'll tell you this way. At $50,000 and wanted to grow to $100,000. Is that a future value? The 100,000? Yeah, that's something in the future. I have $50,000 today. Growing to 100. 100 is future. What do I presently have? 50. That's a present value. It's really not that hard, I promise you. When we start looking at problems tonight, and I'll literally say, I have $50,000, want to grow to $100,000, that's 6%. What will it be worth? Present value, $50,000, okay? Future value. Future value takes into account for compounding, which is our friend if we are investing. We take out a loan, it's our enemy. But for most of this class, we will talk about making money, not losing money on loans. So a future value takes in consideration of compounding. Compounding formulas, as you are starting to really learn, or do a lot of good things for us. They can be with a value of money, or really the value of future values, you can understand alternative investments. I was just having a conversation with someone on the phone before I walked in about an alternative investment. Right now, they came across it, they're trying in their own portfolio, it's about 38%. It's pretty risky, but literally, he was playing with his financial calculator, broke it down in 2 weeks. If I can get this to work for me for 14 days, what can you do with this money? And it's amazing to see it when it actually starts growing. Most people, don't forget, do zero for investing. If you start breaking this down into weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, you can actually make a living doing this. And the calculator, that's a free app, can teach you that. So that's future value. Future values can come across a single period or multiple periods. I don't like anything in a single period. I want my money to grow. I don't want to make 6% for one day. I want to make 6% tomorrow, 6% next week. I want it to grow. So a single period means just that happens one time. Example, John deposits $200 for 1 year and it pays 6%. At the end of the year, what will he have? 200 times 0.06, 212 bucks. What will this grow to in year 2? Nothing, correct. Yep, one time. You will see this question pop up on a midterm and final. I promise you. And you will have answers that will be a little confusing. Single period, one time, I promise you. After that 1 year, 212 bucks, still 212 bucks, right? Doesn't grow. Not our friend. Our friend is here. This is what we want. We want it to grow year over year over year. Is time or time value of money can be our friend. The more time we have, better off we are. If we're closer to 80 years old and we want to retire at 82, rich, we have $100 to our name, not going to happen. Can't. Time value's been eroded. Multiple periods. John closes out his account after 3 years. How much money will have accumulated? How much of that is interest or non-interest? What about after 10 years? $100 at what, 6% was it? That's 6% over 3 years. It's not $100.06 and $112 and $118. It has grown, it has been compounded. So eventually, the interest is $38. I'm like, well, wait a second, $6, $6, $6 is $18. Oh, no, it's technically not, because you've been getting compounded interest on that. That's the beauty behind this. Banks have beautiful, gorgeous buildings. Not because of your money, because of the interest you pay them on your loan, which works in the same exact manner. You take out $100 at a bank, you keep it for 3 years, you make $38 on you. That's 6%. Imagine that number was $100,000 loan, $1 million loan. That's $40,000, $50,000 in 3 years. You're paying them on one loan of interest. You're talking some big numbers here. That's why they have beautiful buildings, right? So that's how they keep you coming back. They give you money, pay the bill, keep your nice fancy new car. Bank makes a lot of money along the ways. They're good. We're not doing that in here. We want to listen to David Ramsey. We're not going to get in debt. We're going to make money. We want to do it with multiple periods. Your financial calculator does multiple periods. We're not focused on single periods in here at all. Okay. Questions? Okay. There are 4 different methods you can use to figure out compound interest. You can use the formula method. I will not teach you that. I will not expose you to such madness. I do not want you writing on paper with a pen or on a board that takes up 5 boards to figure something out. You can go to method 2, and use a financial calculator. I have never, ever once been asked in my 22, 23 years in banking, can you write that out for me on pen and paper to show me? No, that doesn't happen. You sign a loan, you see an APR, APY, here's what you're paying back. There's a spreadsheet method, it's the most versatile. I've never done it that way either. Not going to teach you that way. I'm not going to teach you Excel to figure out how to do compound interest, but you can. And you can literally go out to the values tab and you can literally see it. There's a compound formula in there. You can type it in. It will spit out the same stuff we're going over tonight. You can use time value tables. Never done that. Not doing it. Makes no sense. You have a nifty guide right here on your phone, on your computers. If you really want, like spending money, go out and buy one. I don't care. I tell you, free works just as good. There's nothing different. So we will only use method 2 in here. That's how we figure this out. All right, format this up. That's on the tests also.
Remember to.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna figure this out as a group. So let's say you want to know how much money you will have accumulated in your bank account after 4 years. So 4 years is something. If you deposit all $5,000 of your high school graduation gifts into an account that pays 5%. So here's something interesting. Does it look like it's going to grow that much? It's only 4 years. It's only paying 5%. But we want to figure this out. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to use my calculator. I'm going to use the one that's pulled up here. Once I can get it. All right, first thing, FCLX. Let's clear that calculator out. Make sure there's no formulas in there. There's nothing in there. I have $5,000. Is that present value? Is that payment? Is that future value? Interest or periods? Where would I put my $5,000 in this financial calculator? Where's it gonna go? Who wants to try?
Present
PV.
value.
Present value? Everyone agrees? Online, we agree? All right, let's take it. Perfect, $5,000. Financial calculator will only work. You have 3 of the 5 numbers in here to work. You must always have NIPV or NIPMT, doesn't matter. But you need 3 of these 5 formulas filled in, or letters. You have to have at least 3. The book will tell you 4. Every course will tell you 4. You don't need a empty placeholder. You can if you want. You can put it in 0 if it makes you feel better. I've never done that. But you may, and there are a lot of people that do that because they say, well, there's 5. I'm always solving for 5, right? I gotta get an answer on something. So therefore, everything should be filled out. You don't need to put in a 0. A 0 is always null anyways. It's always assumed. So I'm not going to teach you by entering in a 0 tonight. But you may. It's just a useless number. So we have $5,000. How many years are we doing this for? 4? So where do I put 4? And now, is it 4 goes in there? Or is it 4 times 12? Because there's months in a year. Is it 4 times 365? What are we? Why would I use 4? Why not 48?
Because we already
It's
have.
5% per year.
Spot on. Per year. Read the question. Absolutely, JT, perfect. Per year. You will see questions that will say, what is the interest rate annually, monthly? I mean, what's it monthly? What is it quarterly? That's where you put those numbers in. So it's 4 annual for 4 years. What's the interest rate? Was 5, right? So we're gonna do 5 for I. All right, we got 3 numbers. 5,000, we got 4, and we got 5%. We're good. What are we solving for? What are we looking for now? How much
Future
is
value.
worth? Future value, absolutely. So all we do, hit FV. There you go. That $5,000. That's 5% in 4 years is worth $6,077.53. You're saying, some of you will question, why is it negative? Because if you recall, present value, I had $5,000, I took it out, I gave it to someone, it's gone. I can go out there and change the sign of that $5,000 and put a negative in it, showing me the money left. It will spit out a new number of $6,077.53, a positive. Can you figure this out on a test? That instead of it being negative, you grew and you made money? So why waste your time on playing with negative numbers? You will have to eventually do it. But in basic formulas, you do not need to change it. Because you know if it's on a test. You didn't lose $6,077 in 4 years at 5%. Can't do that. You've made money. It's a positive number. Right? Easy enough to remember. I just kind of simplify the use of the calculator. Okay, now, when we get to doing semi-compounds and everything, yeah, we'll take present value and we'll start doing some negatives. We'll do that tonight as well. But for most of the equations, it doesn't matter. And I will share with you, if you don't do it, when you get to those numbers and those equations, they will stand out. Because if you enter in a positive number, this will say error. The only time a financial calculator will spit out an error message is if the present value or the payment, the 2 P's are supposed to be negative. And you didn't do it. So it's very simple. You always have one of these. Always. And if you are looking there and you're like, wait, I only have payment and I put it in as a positive and I got an error message. I'm supposed to do it as negative. You've never changed any other number except the P's. That's it. Future value is not going to be negative. I will not tell you a stock pick tonight, so you lose money. We're not doing that in this class. We'll not tell you to go out and get a loan to lose money. We never want future value to be negative. You never want interest rate to be negative on your own investment. means you're losing money. In time, you can never get back. So it can't be negative. So therefore, a negative number, it's only when you're giving money to a bank or someone else, and you're investing it. It's the only time. Right? Questions on that one? Take my money. But yes,
Can we
Oh, go
run
for
through
it.
really quick? I'm sorry, the buttons that you pressed again on the calculator, because I have my stuff set up split screen and I was trying to write down the steps and
100%.
I am not making it do what it did for you.
Absolutely. And I'm glad because I want to show it again. Take FCLX. We want to clear this out. Everyone, do it twice. Make sure there's nothing in there. Your calculator is clear. If you don't do that, that number is going to double, by the way. All right, so all of a sudden you're gonna get 12,174 or something like that. So no, you want it to be clear. We have $5,000, so we'll take 5. That's present value. That's what we presently have because we graduated high school. And we're doing it for 4 years. So 4 will be the end. At 5% interest rate. So it's 5i. And what are we looking for? What's it worth in the future? FV. Did you get that?
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
I
Yeah,
think
most
clearing
welcome.
the calculator was the important part for me.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I'm glad you didn't do that because you'll probably never do it again. This is how you learn about this stuff, right? It's clearing it, not clearing it. I still make those mistakes, and even though I do it almost every day. Just make sure you clear the calculator. Now, basic equation, right? And I'm going to just go back to the screen real quick. This right here, 4 years, $5,000, 5%. You can now start figuring real complex formulas on how you're going to make money in life. So you will have these equations tonight. You figured out one. You're going to each go through several examples. And what if I gave you, and we'll try it right now, just for the heck of it, a bank account after 4 years. So let's do a bank account, well, times 10 for everything except 5%. Your bank account after 40 years, you got $50,000 and keep it in there for 40 years. You never touch it once at 5%. So you got $50,000 for 40 years. Let's see what happens with time being your friend. Make sure you clear it. So we got $50,000 present value. 40 N at 5% interest. You should have a future value of almost $352,000. That's at 5%. That's pretty easy to get. Just put in a CD, buy a bond. There you go. You're good. Buy an annuity. JG Wentworth. Go through that, and you're pretty much guaranteed this to grow to that number. I just made you $300,000. You did it with a financial calculator. Pretty easy to do. Now, this doesn't take and equate inflation or anything else, but what it does tell you is just pure math. Take $50,000, leave it in for 40 years at 5%. Guarantee you, it's worth $352,000 roughly. Now, you can really get fancy. We'll just do one more, and then we'll jump on the next slide. Let's clear it again. Here to keep practicing. So $50,000 again. Let's invest it heavily in the market at 15%. So 15i. Let's do it for the next 40 years. Because we decide we're going to invest, we're going to let our 401ks grow. That is worth a crazy number of about 13.4, right? That's wild. You're not adding any new money to that. We are going to put some new money into this tonight. We'll start contributing to our 401ks and show you what that does. But if you start with $50,000, you didn't touch it, you left it in a CD, mom and dad passed away, grandma, grandpa passed away. They left you an inheritance. You're like, you know what, I want to let it grow. $50,000. Present value, 15% 40 years, future value, 13.3. What if you even got more aggressive in the market? What if you added more money every month to it? I guarantee you, when you see these numbers tonight, it's kind of an easy way to get to 100 million. Start adding a couple thousand a year. Now, what does this look like to some of you? Eric, you have a pension, maybe you have a 403. Some of you that aren't in school district, 401ks, anything of that nature. If you are contributing, this is what this can look like for you. And it does grow over time. And you will see tonight when we start doing it, I have a 401k, start off with nothing. And I'm not adding $20,000 every year. Every year. Because I learned I should invest. And I do it for the next 30 years. I do it at 10%. It becomes millions of dollars. But what happens if you don't do that? You get nothing. And I don't know about you, I'd rather be 60, 65, 13 million versus nothing. Did everyone get this number?
My comma is not too much.
What's it coming out for?
I got two commas that doesn't make sense. I got one, I got the same number, but I got a 1,33, 93, 177.
So it's like,
Why I'm getting that comma in the wrong.
yeah, make sure you clear it and it may have been
I
an
did it
accidental.
I did it 3 times.
Did you? Maybe a keystroke on it. That's weird. HP 12C. Does it look the same?
Yeah. It was the right ago. I got it on my phone too. So.
Yeah, if it's one comma, it's gonna be millions difference.
Yeah, but you have two commas, it doesn't make sense. I
Yeah,
have one after the one and one after the 2, 3, so.
that's a billion.
Yeah, again.
Yeah, that's, I mean, that's where, I'm assuming your decimals moved over too.
Now it's.
No, it's still there.
Fine, yeah, I still have. The comma 17, everything is fine, so that extra comma.
See what you got.
Oh, that extra comma. You know what I'm saying?
Whoops, sorry.
I make no difference.
No,
I clearly-
that's weird.
I cleared the formula.
CLX again.
Why? I already heard it from it. Crazy.
Might just be. Reversion. That's weird. We're gonna see if we can clear that up, right, and fix that for you. Yeah, that should have happened. Everybody else should be getting 13.3. Wow. That doesn't, two commas, I don't even know what that means. Some different type of math there. Does it definitely say RPN on the top of it as well? When you clear it out? Because there's another version it can be set to as well. Set. Yeah, maybe close out.
This one is not working here.
Maybe just close out and relaunch it in the browser, see if that'll work. That might work for you. We'll take a look shortly. Make sure we get you set. All right, that's the problem with that one, I guess. Haven't seen that yet. All right, so you should be all getting the same commas, same numbers. If not, maybe close the browser, relaunch it.
Is he starting with 5,000 instead of 50? Because that's what I get. when I
No,
do
it was
5,000.
50. No, so the weird thing is, if you see my cursor on the screen, there's two commas there, like a comma and a comma.
Oh, that is weird.
Yeah, mathematically, I
Weird
can't-
area.
it's very strange. Yeah, we'll take a look at it. And did you try I mean, I just want to make sure, maybe even the link. Let me send this to you real quick. Joseph, right?
Yeah.
I just sent it to you. We'll try the link that I just emailed over. That might work. All right. Before we go into the next one, I just want to make sure you receive that. And try that. You're all fine, everything.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a good free one for my phone, because the one I tried to make me buy it.
Yeah,
As
that's
I got it.
supposed to be the same thing to
Yeah.
tell me upgrade.
Yeah.
This one, yeah.
Yep, so do, yeah. There you go. All right, that's where we go.
That one, really.
I'm liking seeing that one. All right, we got it working. That's good. All right, thanks everyone for your
I got
patience.
the same thing in mind with the kids that we.
All right, so this is how you do it. If you get stuck tonight, you're at home, you're like, oh my gosh, how do I play with these numbers? Because I want to know how much I'm going to have. So we understand how to do this now. That's pretty straightforward. Here's the formula on how to do it. Here's a formula method. We're not using that. Using calculator method. All right, if you really want to get into that math, go for it. I'm not doing it. Your present value, you can see how it's a negative. Because again, it left your wallet. If you do it as a negative, that number, the 13 million would have been a positive number. That's all. You don't need to get into that though. When my fear is just teaching you originally, so you get, kind of too much in the weeds on changing sides and everything. I don't want to do that to you guys. And 4, here's your interest rate. And if you originally did the $5,000, that whatever should came out to 6,077. Right, but we played with some different numbers. So that's how you do that. Now. There's another one. This one's pretty neat, because real estate goes up and down all the time. Let's say you've seen your dream house, which is currently listed at $300,000. But unfortunately, you are not in a position to buy it. So you have to wait at least 5 more years before you will be able to afford it. Because you're seeing in 5 years is a good raise. If house values are appreciating at the average rate of 5%, how much will the house be worth in 5 years? Who wants to walk me through this? And I'm just gonna take a picture so I remember the exact numbers. So I can go on the calculator. All right. So. We have our dream house, which is currently listed at $300,000. Is 300,000 present value or future value? Present. That's presently what it's worth. Do you care if it's a house? Doesn't matter if it's a bank account either. It's the same thing. Money's money. Well, let's clear your calculators. And it's $300,000. You will see questions on the tests that will tell you you're buying a luxury boat. And doesn't matter. Fine, still money. Present value, $300,000. Next thing, what are we doing with the 300,000? What are we trying to do for interest? What's the time frame of that? It is 5 years at 5%. 5 years, 5%. Look how good we're all doing now. 382. We're all becoming masters of financial calculator. This is with the house. Don't care if it's a house. Could be bank account, could be CD, could be anything. 5 years is worth $382,000 at 5%. Pretty straightforward, right? It's not that bad. It's really not. It becomes your friend, and you'll be doing stuff tonight, and in here and then online, and you'll probably whiz right through these, right? I don't have anything done in advance. I'm literally doing the numbers with you.
So basically, guy waiting that 5 years to buy it, now we're paying extra $82,000 for.
So that's a great point. Right now, what has happened is interest rates are still pretty darn high on houses. This is true. I just bought one in July. It was 7.12 was my interest rate. Home value, kind of stagnant. Home values haven't gone up too crazy in the last couple of years. They did before when rates were really low. Now they're really high. Home values kind of stay a little stagnant. So what makes sense to me? I'd rather buy a house when interest rates are high. Because in 3 to 5 years when they drop off, I can do a beautiful thing. I can refinance. I can take that 7.12% and hopefully drop it to 3. So my payment will drop tremendously. I cannot do that if the house is, we'll say example, I bought it at 700,000. Really, it was only worth 400,000 because it's appreciated. And then the backside starts dropping off. What do? I'm under. Something I can do. Buy a house when interest rates are a little bit higher, because you can refinance. Is it going to appreciate? Well, yeah, time, the value of the home is going to go up with it as well. Right, so time is my friend in that sense. After a couple of years, rates drop off, I refinance, pay some money to do that. But on the back end, I will save thousands and thousands of dollars. So the smart thing to do is always buy a house at a good price. Rates are high, who cares? Refinance. And they're always gonna do this. But you need a house. So as long as you refinance and do the right thing, you'll get in there. Now you may shake your head because there's a theory also about renting as well. If you get in a lower number, sometimes it makes sense, but we're not gonna talk about that. But it does make sense sometimes to rent, particularly if you're in New York City, you're not buying. So this is future cost due to inflation. We can pull up the answer. Present value, 300,000. Your periods are for rate of return. You're solving for FV for future value. Cost went up 382. We're gonna discuss that. That's a pretty good cost of that. Oh, you wait 5 years because you listen to your friends. Rates are going to drop in 5 years. You're right. They will. Inflation's going to kick in now. So yeah, you're paying a little less on interest, but the cost of that home is now worth $82,000 more. So yeah, it says 7%, you're now paying 6%. What do you do? Well, you're spending $82,000 more. $82,000 times 30 years. Do that. You want to see what that true number is? Do 80, and I'll just play with it real quick because I'm actually interested in this. Oh, it's gonna be a crazy number. So we'll do $82,000. I'm just doing it on my calculator real quick here. Actually, I'll do it here so you can see it. Let's clear it out. We'll do $82,000. Present value. We'll do what was the rate? 5. We'll do it in 30 more years. There you go. What's in your friends? You just spend another 354 plus the 82, by the way. So you spend about $432,000 more. Because you listen to your friends. Wait 5 years. What did the house cost you? It was $382. You're paying back almost double. Probably one of the dumbest things to do. Don't wait. That's the fear. This is literally what is happening in today's market though. And people are waiting because they're thinking home values are going to drop. They're not going to drop. And interest rates cannot go from 7% to 3% overnight. It would crash our economy. Right? Normally no greater than 75 basis points in a year. That's the average. And they're still holding off on cutting rates so far year to date. So when you start looking at that, it's not going to drop off. Don't wait. If you want to buy a house, buy it now. This is going to cost you another $354,000 in the long run. Big number. Don't do it. All right, let's continue onward. What we're going to do is get through all these slides, take a break, probably about 30 minutes, and then we'll come back, break out, and play with these numbers. Present value and discounting. So what is discounting? What is true present value? I give you something that leaves my pocket. I discount something, I get a discount on a rate on a loan. Does that play a difference in numbers? Oh yeah. Discounting interest that would have been earned over a given period of time at a new rate. Some of you may go to your local bank or credit union, take out a car loan or open a different type of account. They give you a quarter basis point off if the money comes out automatically every month. A 25 basis point. A lot of people will be like, it's not a big deal. Yeah, it is. 25 basis points over 30 years. It's a heck of a deal. Just for it to come out automatically. Now, a bank does that because it pretty much assures them they get paid every month. So therefore, they give you a discount. You're betting that you make mistakes over the next 30 years. That sometimes a check will bounce. One bounce throws it all completely. It's the exact opposite or inverse of calculating future value, sum of money. You're looking for a discount if you take this now versus then, or if you take 4% versus 5%. Calculations are useful for determining today's price or the value today of an asset that will be received in the future. So I know in 5 years, I'll have an inheritance. I know in 5 years, I'll be ready to buy a house. Because I have the crystal ball, when rates do drop. So I'm Now I'm assuming I know everything and interest rates will drop. This is when you start discounting rates. Right, this also goes, hey, I improve my credit score. And I get a lower rate, what does that do for me? Well, you can actually really play with these numbers and really see what it does. Okay, so a difference between a 7% rate versus an 8% rate on a mortgage. It's night and day. Present value and discounting. We all went to the casino tonight. Sounds like good night, by the way. We went to Schenectady, we're playing roulette. This one, you won $50,000 at the casino. And you want to save a portion of it. So you have $40,000 to put down on a house after 5 years. Your bank pays you 6%. How much money will you have to set aside for the jackpot winnings? Someone will walk me through this, and remember, I can tell you with this one, read the question. And this one, taking pictures so I have it. You want a jackpot at 50,000. You like to save a portion of that, which is 40,000. Put on a house of 5 years, 6%. How much money will you have to set aside for the jackpot winnings to put down this money? So go for it. Walk me through typing this in on the calculator.
And so clear it, and then we're gonna put in, what was the number? It was 40,000 for future value,
Okay,
and then it's, I don't remember what the exact.
5 years, 6%.
5 years, 6%,
okay. And what are we solving for?
we're solving for the present value.
There you go. And you did exactly what I was hoping you wanted to, but you did it the right way. A lot of students see the 50,000 and 40,000, start doing some crazy math. Well, 50 minus 40, or is 50,000, and try to do 50,000 present value, 40,000 future, and you get so confused. Who cares about what you want? That's not what you're solving for. You got $40,000 to invest. That's the only number you care about. I got $40,000. I want it to grow. What do we have to do to get there? You need 29,890, 33 cents. The negative number, we can change that. We can go and change the symbol of your $40,000 if you want to see it. It's not going to change anything. So just get rid of that. So it doesn't matter. But 29,890, sorry.
So if we were to change the symbol of that 40,000, would that be 40,000 future value change symbol?
It's a good question. I will show you. Clear it out.
I was gonna say, for this one, would you wanna change the value? Cause you wanna pay out the 29,000, so it should be negative.
Yeah, you're right. Thinking out loud, you're right.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, you're right.
Just
Because future values are never negative, yes.
in theory.
In theory, yes. So in theory, we'll say present, again, here goes my example, P's only, right? So we'll say $40,000 and let's do it in the future. We got $40,000 present value.
No.
Do present value, change symbol,
Okay,
all right? And this one will take 5% for 5 years. Future value is 51. But if you can see, we can start changing it differently as well. Set your change sign. Go right away, but you're putting in the negative amount. So absolutely, good question. All right. You will see these questions. Promise you, 100%. And quizzes and tests and midterm, they'll look just like this. I have $100,000. I want to invest $60,000. Who cares about the 100,000? You have $60,000. The other 100,000, the other 40,000 means nothing to us. You blew it at the casino. What do you do? That's your money. We're investing 60 grand. You came and saw me and taking $60,000. That's what we're investing. All right, here's the formula. We already did it. So all of a sudden you can start seeing a pattern here. There's 4 equations. You're always solving for something. What are you solving for? In this example, what were we doing? We were solving for present value. What do we need today to have? So that way we could go out there and do something. Always. Now, you can write a grid out and you can do all those things, and I teach that at the undergrad. You would do it as a grid and you're set. put in FB, put in PB, put in I, put in N. You write it out, and you transfer that data onto your calculator. You don't need to do that, not at your levels, right? You understand how to convert that over. That's what we're doing here. You're just moving it from one thing to another. Alright. Skip it through lump sums for now, because we're coming back to that. Time value of money equation. Calculating the amount of saving required for retirement. Yeah, big one for me. Future value of an asset. Really important to me. I'm actually looking at that with the advice I got tonight. The other type of investment. I want to see how that works. Calculating the cost of a loan. Because there's a cost to every loan. Interest. Growth rates of cash flows. The last one is calculating number of periods required to reach a financial goal. How long do I need to get there? I'm 25 years old. I want $500,000 when I retire. We already did that tonight. We did as an example of saving for a house. Same darn thing. So you know how to reach those goals. We'll come down here a little bit. And I like to do this one. And this one's gonna be a little bit different for all of you. I promise you that. Back up. Your retirement goal is $2 million. The bank is offering you a CD that's good for 40 years at 6%. All right, it's long term. I want to take that deal, by the way, I would not. But 40 years at 6%. What initial deposit do you need to make today to reach your $2 million goal at the end of 40 years? Well, what are we looking for here? So what's our N value? Our N is 40, right? But what are we looking for? Present value or future value? Well, what's our end goal? We want to make it somewhere. So we want FB for something, right? So our FB is going to be what? 2 million. Interest? 6%. 40 years. And what are we solving for again? Okay. So what do we need today? What will that come out to be? I'm going to do it on my own calculator before I switch over. We got 40 years, it's your N. We got 6%. Our 2 million, which is our future value. And then we're looking for a present value. I came up with 194,44437. You came up with that, you're right. So today, you got another big inheritance. Congrats. You got $194,000. You leave it in at a 6% CD for the next 40 years. That gets you to $2 million. Now, take this number and play with something different. I have a retirement goal. I want to retire in the Caribbean islands, St. Thomas. I need a lot of money. I want $20 million. What do I need for that? So my retirement goal is $20 million. We'll still do 40 years, but I am going to invest in the stock market and bond market at 15%. What's my initial goal? Is this possible? So I want 20 million. And I said 15% interest, right? 40 years. My present value. Is that doable? What number did it come up with?
A little under 74,000.
74.
75,000.
Yeah, 74, 75, yeah. So if you notice something, the previous equation, you need $194,000 to reach 2 million. I need less than half to reach 20 million. The only thing we changed. That's right. Went out and we invested in the market. We didn't get crazy in the market, by the way, at all.
15%?
15's not that crazy. No, if you really diversify and get some blue chip stocks, I would absolutely do that. Go out to the medical industry, do all options, higher risky bonds, so. Triple B's.
Did you hear that Kodak was going into pharmaceutical?
I heard that. I don't know how that even happens for them. Other than them doing like x-ray machines and stuff like that. It's weird, yeah. Did you come out with that?
Yeah, I was having on the wrong answer.
Okay, no, cool, yeah, a lot of time, and you'll see it on Equatus too, and. It's just like, it doesn't make sense, like mathematically, like 13,000 times 40 years, it's what,
No, I was,
120,
I
1.2.
had 20 in my head, so I was.
Gotcha.
20 for the interest rate, not the 20 million, so.
Gotcha, yeah, so this is really interesting because the way it played out is, again, 194 gets you 2 million. But 74,000 nets you $20 million. The problem I have with any of this, I can make it sound really good to you. I'm going to have you go out tonight, and you're like, oh, I gotta start investing tonight. Do most people do this? No, most people don't, right? Let's be honest, we have families, we have life that gets in the way, we have bills, we have vacations we wanna go on, we have school debt maybe you do or don't have, but you gotta pay for things, a car, and everything else. So we don't do this, but it is definitely possible. It is.
My biggest issue is. A lot of these 40 years or so, most people ain't got that many, especially me, ain't got that kind of time.
Mhm.
So you may want, I would like to see something more conservative, like a 10, 15, 20 years kind of a thing, because, a lot of people have that kind of time there.
All right, let's throw this out there. How much money? You pick the numbers. How much money do you wanna have to retire?
I got retired in 5 years.
5 million?
Yeah.
All right, let's do $5 million. That's something in the future. How many years until we get there? You don't have to be honest, but hypothetically.
12,
12 years. What's your risk appetite? Are you risky?
well, I'm gonna have to be, if that.
Are you comfortable 10%?
15 is good, 10, 15, everything around.
I'll meet you halfway. Let's do 12%. All right. To get there, you need 1.8. 1.2 years.
Okay. Well,
Alright. The reason, you only have 12 years.
yeah, I know.
Right. So in order to get to 5 million, you need 1.2.
All in a riskier rate.
But here's the other thing. I want to get to 5 million because I want to retire with 5 million. But is 5 million working for you in 12 years? Or are you just going to keep 5 million in your checking account? And earn 0%? Hopefully, no. You're going to take this lesson, still continue to invest. And maybe get a little more conservative. So conservative will go really more bonds, a better bond portfolio. Take 100 minus your age, and that's how much money the truck is to put in stock. So we'll say you're 50 years old, do 50% stock. You're 60 years old, 40% stock. Those are pretty realistic numbers. The rest of it's in bonds. So you do that, you get 8% to 10%. I'll take a couple million every year, or a couple $1 million portfolio on 8% and let it grow. 8% of 2 million, is how much money? It's 160,000 a year, roughly. Can you live off $160,000 income? I could. Particularly when I'm retired, I have no bills, I have no debt, I paid off everything, since I have 2 million now. Yeah, that's realistic. The problem is, people start thinking retirement, they take $2 million, they get to retirement, they reach the day, they'll start blowing that money like crazy. Because they finally were able to tap into their 401ks, or are able to tap in the market, they pay their grandkids some money, they put it in a trust, they do these other things, but they forget to pay themselves. Let that money keep working for you. You got $1 million, you never have to work again. You got $500,000, there's really no reason you should have to worry that much about working that hard. $1 million, probably don't. 500,000, you probably do still have to work. That's not hard. I mean, at 10%, that's $50,000 a year. The S&P 500 last year was 26% return. 26% in 1 year. You can figure that out. Type in $500,000, do 26% return, and is one, what's the future value of that? Right? And I'm just curious myself. $500,000 is what we have. We got 1 year, 26%. $130,000 you made in the S&P. This is what it returned. Just investing it in the S&P 500. No, you didn't do any other types of stocks. You didn't do any bonds. You didn't do any CDs. That's how I do 95% of mine. I follow the S&P. 26%. There are years you'll go down. But if you did it last year, your $500,000 gave you $130,000 worth of income. If you didn't touch it, your $500,000 is now worth $630,000. All of a sudden, you have an off year with the S&P. It's returning 5%. 5% is 630 though. It's better than 5% of 500. And 630,000 in the bank. We'll call the bank. I'm good. I have a really bad day at work. I hate my job. I'm good. Let me go figure something else out. I can live all this for a while. I don't even need to do anything. Get 10% on that. $63,000 a year. That's some income. What if I'm really starting to invest aggressively? And I can get up to 15 or 20%. I do a little day trading. I can start figuring this out. At 20%, I get 120,000 or so. My money's working for me. I'm doing okay. I don't need to go to work. I can live off of this. That becomes fun. All right. So the moral of this story is you don't need a lot of money. $500,000 is a lot of money. It is. $100,000 is a lot. If you invest it, it can become enormous amounts of money. Eric, I'm picking on you. That's because you shared your story somewhat. You're getting a pension. His pension's doing this every day for him. It's getting there. And if Eric is able to do it, and he starts contributing to a 403 or 401k, where he is and let this thing grow, and he gets up to $300,000-$400,000, and he's able to take an income off of that every year, plus a pension every year, plus Social Security. Eric, you became my new best friend when you hit retirement. We're going to be your investment advisor. Because you're going to have nothing but money. We'll have $7,000 to $10,000 a month. Quick math. Pretty good income when your bills are zero. All right, let's go back to us. I get too excited over it. Next one. Let's make a deal. Very relevant to today. In 1867, Secretary of the State William H. Sword purchased Alaska from Russia for the sum of $7.2 million, or about 2 cents per acre. At the time, the deal was dubbed Seward's Folly, but from our vantage point today, the Seward get a bargain after all. What would it cost today if the land were exactly in the same condition as it was 148 years ago? And the prevailing interest rate was 4%. So we got, walk me through it. We had $7.2 million, and I should go back, I'm sorry, to allow the online folks a minute to see this. You have a sum of $7.2 million. You have 148 years at 4%. Who wants to walk me through this equation here? So 7.2 million, is that present value? Future value? Is that a payment?
Present
Where are we
value
at?
for this one, right?
All right, present value. Back to it. Oh. Did we just lose someone? We're still there, okay. 7.2 million is present value. We have 148 years. Where's that going?
And
And doesn't change. Don't care if it's a million years. What's the interest rate?
or
4%. Solving for future value. 2.3 billion. So it's a good deal. 2.4, yeah. So they bought it for 7.2 million, 148 years ago with 4% inflation year over year. They bought that 7.2 million, it's worth 2.4 billion now. Wow, pretty cool. Family inheritance right there. Those farms that you see that are inherited, you know, third or fourth, fifth generation down the road, this works here. Disney World, when they went out and bought their land from the state of Florida, it was pennies on the dollar. Go do that now for pennies on the dollar. Not happening. It's a beautiful thing. I would not mind buying that $2.4 billion. Now, I still think that's a deal today. This is less enriching gold or any precious jewels, precious metals. Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, but that today, if you fast forward, that's what it would be worth today at 4%. Now, the stock market averages 8.8 in 100+ year history, 130 years. We put 8.8% on that. And I'm curious what that would change because that's a nice number. 7.2 million. We'll do 8.8. 148 years. It's too big. It goes like 1.8 trillion. It's like too many
Yeah,
numbers.
that's too big.
It's just too big for it. But it's probably trillion. I would assume that's 1.8 trillion. Crazy. You just double the interest rate. You double it every year. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Amazing, the value. So don't be scared when you see these exercises and these discussion problems that look a little crazy with the wording. Who cares about the wording in between? This is where, like, at the undergrad level, I always have them write it out for that reason right here. Because it does look confusing. But you have your sum, you have your periods, and you have your percent. You know what
Get
to
a
sell.
time machine. Go back and tell my grandfather, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you, son?
Yeah. We'll do this one, and I think after this, I'm gonna stop for a break. What's the cost of a loan? John, a college student, needs to borrow $5,000 tonight for his tuition bill. He agrees to pay back the loan in a lump sum 5 years from now, after he's out of college. The bank states that the payment will need to be $7,012.76. What he owes. If John borrows $5,000 from the bank today, what interest rate is he paying? We haven't solved for an I yet. We are solving for an I. I'll let the online folks keep taking pictures because I can't go back and forth. We'll just wait a minute for everyone else to get caught up on this as well. Good. Wait a moment. All right, let's get started. First things first, you probably got some error messages. We figure out what to do?
Change the sign.
Change the sign, that's it. So $7,012.76, future value. It's a loan. We think loan's a little bit different here. Payment, doesn't matter in this one. We have 5 years, which is the N. And we have $5,000. What are we, which is present value, what are we solving for? Interest, should be about 7.00. All right, if you, my calculator set out to 8, so it'll 7.0023. 7% is what needs to get. 7% paying back 5 years, $5,000. That loan is costing you $2,012. That's a lot when you're a college student. And that's only on $5,000. Is 5% that bad? Or 7%? Not really in today's terms. Can you get worse? Yeah, you can. You can get 8, 9, 10%. You start playing with those numbers as you get closer to 10. it does something incredible for you, plus you a ton of money on a loan. On interest, it does a beautiful thing for you, It pays you back if you're investing. There's a quick way to figure this out, how long it will take you to double your money. So say I want to double my money, I have $50,000 now, and I want to know how long it'll take me to double my money without using this financial calculator. Like, I don't need to know how to use this tonight. If someone said, I got $50,000, we're gonna give you 10% interest rate. How long will it take me to make $50,000? Anyone recall the rule of 72? You take the interest rate and divide it into 72. It will take, it's not here. Must have cut that out. It's in your book, rule 72. You take the interest rate, divide it into 72. 10 into 72 is 7.2, will take me 7.2 years to double my money. All right, and I have another example I wanted to show, and I apologize, I must have not did that. If I have 8% interest rate, and I wanted to double in money, and you can use your financial calculators, take $50,000, 8%, double it, so I want to make a future value of 100. What is it? It is roughly 8 years. 8% into 72. It's about 8% or 8 years. If I am getting 4%, so we'll do another one. I'm getting an investment or a CD, $50,000 at 4%. How many years will it take me to double that $50,000 at 4%? And I'm just interested. I came up with about 18 years. JT, you're doing it. What are you coming up with? So we'll do $50,000. Want to double that, make it 100 at 4%. Solving for N.
You should be in.
4%. 18. So the rule of 72 works really well as you get closer to a number, you get closer to a rate, and it says right here about the 8% is where it's a beautiful number. You get farther away on the other side, it'll become a little less accurate, but we're talking by like 0.2, like 3%. You're looking for the average here. So I know I do 4% to double my money, it's about 18 years. I'm getting 20%. It's about 3.5 years, right? 20 into 72, it's about 3.5 years to double my money. So if someone comes to me and says, hey, I got a good investment, I want you to get rich quick, those schemes don't work, by the way, but they're gonna pay you 30%. I'm like, does this make sense? Can I lock up money? How long do I have to lock up my money at 30% to double it? About 2.5 years or so, right? A little less than that. But that's what it would take me getting 30% day over day, week over week, year over year to double my money. That's the rule of 72. If you want to get compounding into it, I think it's 69.5403. So you take the interest rate, divide it into 69.5403 or so. Will get you a pretty close number if you compounded that every day. It's not going to be as accurate as your financial calculators, but it's a pretty quick way to figure out math real quick. You got a car dealership, they're trying to sell you a car, loan, and you're like, that $30,000 car, compound the interest rate. Oh, 1 second later, you can figure it out pretty close what it's going to cost you. Then you can say that's a bad deal and walk away from it. Right? That's a beautiful thing in Rule 72. The other thing is you can do it with most of the stuff as well, and to kind of fact check yourself when you're on a test midterm fine or anything like that. Like, well, here's $50,000 and you're doubling it and you figure it out. I can apply Rule of 72 to see if it works. Any questions? All right, 718. Do we feel we're starting to feel better with your financial calculators? It's not that scary, right? Online folks, it's not that bad. What we are going to do when we come back, we're going to jump into more questions. I had originally 15 different questions, and then I have 5 questions in a breakout. We'll probably go through a couple more together, and then I'll split you up in groups, online versus in class. have you work on it on your own. And we'll come back, talk about it, and then we'll conclude from there, right? So I'm shooting for, I don't know, it'll be like 8:15 again, right around that time. I don't think it's snowing out. So we're good. Next week, I'm super excited as well, because we get into bonds, I like bonds. And we'll use financial calculators again, because we've been talking about bonds so much in here, how we can make them safe and secure adding a bond. We'll look at all different ratings of bonds and why you would do like a AAA bond versus a triple B, which is all the ratings of them, more aggressive, less aggressive, and what it does to your portfolio. All right, let's take a 11-minute break. We'll come back at 7:30. Online folks, we'll see you back in about 11 minutes.
Well, just figured out how much extra my